Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to IHIP News, where Pumps and I give our opinion about the news that is important to us. And the star of the news, Pumps, was trolling Twitter earlier, and she found a great tweet. And of course, it's about MAGA Republicans being triggered by facts.
Right. Snowflakes, thin skin, deluxe.
Okay, so the House was idle for 30 minutes after Republicans demanded that the words of Jim McGovern, who is a Democrat from Massachusetts, be taken down. And here were Congressman McGovern's words, and I quote, "At some point, it's time for this body to recognize that there is no precedent for this situation. We have a presumptive nominee for president facing 88 felony counts, and we're being prevented from even acknowledging it. These are not alternative facts. These are real facts. A candidate for president of the United States is on trial for sending a hush money payment to a porn star to avoid a sex scandal during his 2016 campaign, and then fraudulently disguising those payments in violation of the law. He's also charged with conspiring to overturn the election. He's also charged with stealing classified information, and a jury has already found him liable for rape in a civil court. And yet, in this Republican-controlled House, it's okay to talk about the trial, but you have to call it a sham."
This makes my blood boil. MAGA is so triggered by these words, yet they are going in flocks to support him at these trials and say it's a sham. What the issue is, when are they going to stand up for the conduct? When are they going to shout out and call out the conduct? Not the words, the conduct. You know why they're not? Because they're fucking pussies. They're morally bankrupt, hypocritic pussies. I have had it. It is unbelievable to me that you cannot say the words, that you cannot go to your job to support him in the porn hush money trial, but you're not allowed to say facts. It is the height of hypocrisy and sycophant. I cannot take it. It makes me crazy.
I want to point out that at the beginning you said Republicans, and then you went back and corrected yourself and you said MAGA. We're not letting the Republicans off the hook. No. Republican is MAGA, and MAGA are Republicans. This is their political party. This is who they are. They are a cult that wants big government. Mm-hmm. They are very anti-economy. They are for blowing up the deficit. They are for taking away rights of its citizens. The Republican Party today, the modern day Republican Party, is an anti-business, anti-freedom, pro-control, lawless, anti-law and order,
That's right.
Weak pussies on crime party. And we cannot let them off the hook. They can do all this shit all they want to, but it is so important that the Republican Party own this. This is now their nominee for the third time in a row. There is no difference between Trump and Republicans. Anybody out there that's like, oh, I'm a traditional Republican, it's time for you to say the Republican Party abandoned me.
Right.
And I am no longer going to vote with a death cult, because that's what these guys are. And the clown show of these guys running down all of these big Christians who all of these Republican congressmen that support Trump constantly talk about their faith.
That's right.
You can't get them to shut up because they have to talk about Jesus and God and their family values all the time. They are all down, dressed alike, which is weird, at this man's trial, where he is on trial for infidelity, not for infidelity, but surrounding it. He committed infidelity with a porn star. He's been married 3 times. It's obvious his kids are fucked up. This is not a family values guy.
No.
This is their guy.
It's their guy.
This is their guy. So I want to personally thank Donald Trump for exposing these religious hypocrites once and for all. Because anytime you hear Moses Mike Johnson or Ted Cruz or Josh Hawley or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert talk about their faith and their family values, we all need to know that they are total brainwashed liars.
Yep.
And it's disgusting, but we always need to remind the public every chance we get, this is the Republican Party. This is who they are. They are not good with the economy. They are anti-freedom. They're really weak on crime, considering that they don't want to talk about the biggest organized crime boss in America right now, the former president of the United States. But,
Yeah.
this is who they want. So speaking of Republicans and pussies, now would be a great time to talk about the senator from our state, James Lankford, who tried so hard to do his job. He wanted a bipartisan border deal because, according to Republicans, this is the biggest issue in America right now is the border. Fox News practically hyperventilating because they cannot quit talking about it. So James Lankford reaches across the aisle and he comes up with a bipartisan bill. And it's a good bill. It is not even that progressive of a bill. It's kind of would have been a win for the Republicans, but the win would have been under Biden's watch. So he even goes out and speaks about how he tried to be bipartisan, yak, yak, blah, blah. Well, guess what happened?
What?
Now, Senator Pussboy is voting against his own border bill because this is what the Republican Party is right now. It is modern day cannibalism. It is Republican Party cannibalism. They have to out crazy each other. They have to go cram their heads up Donald Trump's ass. Who can get it up there further? These are unserious people with very serious jobs that are making very dangerous decisions for the general public. And all of them, Senator Lankford is no exception, talks nonstop about his Christian faith. And he has no decency.
Right.
He has no honor. He makes a mockery of himself when he bends the knee to Donald Trump. These people are total hypocrites. They're duplicitous across the board, and they are ruining this country. There will be no resemblance of the United States of America if everybody keeps bending the knee to Trump. And we have to call the Republican Party and these religious hypocrite politicians like James Lankford, like the Speaker of the House, Moses Mike Johnson, who's so concerned about his son watching porn and his son watching him watch porn that he's down at a porn trial.
That's right.
These people, the hypocrisy, they're even brazen about that now. It's unbelievable. But what mystifies me are the millions of Americans that go along with this. And every time you look at any of their Instagram bios, it's Christ is king, Christ follower. And then these are the people they vote for.
It's unbelievable that they would even have the audacity to say anything about family values, cancel culture, thin-skinned libs. These are the people that project non-stop. These are the people that cannot take criticism. These are the people trying to indoctrinate people into religious organizations.
These are the anti-freedom book banners.
Right.
The Republican Party is a big government anti-freedom party. There's no distinguishing line between MAGA and Trumpism. These are religious nuts. They are Christian nationalists. They need to be called out as such. And if you vote for these people, you're voting for an entirely different form of government. Quit calling yourself a patriot. Quit flying the American flag because you're voting for people who want something entirely different. And the implications of the vote and if Trump wins and what he will do with Vladimir Putin and destroy all of our Western allies, it's a snowball that you'll never be able to put back together. It will completely go downhill and then melt and turn into rotting flames. But speaking of crazy Christians, unhinged crazy Christians, we need to talk about Samuel Alito and his obsession with MAGA style flags.
Yep.
So, of course, everybody knows that he flew the upside down American flag. But if you look further into it, you know that this is what all the January 6th Stop the Steal cultists do. Well, they also have another flag that they resurrected from American Revolutionary time period, and it is called the Appeal to Heaven flag, which advocates for more religion in government. Mm-hmm. So this is a Supreme Court justice vacation home in New Jersey, and he's got this flag up there. This guy is unhinged. He is a MAGA cultist. They have placed MAGA cult people in the Supreme Court. This is a very serious job with a lunatic that has it. This is not even remotely sane for a Supreme Court justice to do this. There is zero honor in doing this. This is, even old school Republicans would be mortified at this.
Lindsey Graham even came out against this.
And that's about a lowest bar you could possibly get.
The lowest bar. What I find so appalling, obviously the conduct, but two things really stick out to me. Any type of political statement is banned by the Supreme Court Code of Ethics, okay? Well, we've got a violator here. There's no question. It's objectively true. But there is no ramification for this justice because he violated a canon of the Supreme Court, because there's no governing oversight and there's no accountability for Supreme Court justices. That's my first thing that it just makes me crazy. My second thing is, this is a man that knows that every legal lawsuit that Donald Trump filed regarding the 2020 election was denied by the courts all the way through, trial courts, appellate courts, Supreme Court. He knows that Stop the Steal is a lie. He knows that. And Clarence Thomas, whose wife was involved in the attempted coup of January 6th, both of these bankrupt motherfuckers are deciding whether Trump has presidential immunity, absolute presidential immunity, and cannot be tried for his crime spree in and around the Oval Office from beginning, middle, end. And it is abhorrent. It's appalling. And you know what can be done about this? Fucking nothing. These people have got to be stopped. Democrats in the House and Senate have got to be elected to put guardrails on the Supreme Court. I mean, you could even say the Supreme Court is the first of the branches to fall.
The Democrats, if Biden wins, have got to be serious about major change, because one thing Trump has done is he's exposed all of these hypocritical right-wing family values, Jesus is my homeboy politicians, right? They've all been exposed for the hypocrites that I always knew they were, but now it's on the permanent record how hypocritical these people are. But number two, Trump has also exposed a lot of flaws in American democracy and where we are vulnerable. We just never had somebody that is this morally bankrupt with this many psychotic sycophants surrounding him, two of which are on the Supreme Court, possibly more. I'm sure the handmaid and the beer drinker are right there with those two. But there are so many flaws in the American government, and it reminds me of the Bush v. Gore, when the Supreme Court handed the court to George Bush, when really it should have gone to, all of those votes should have been counted.
That's right.
Thousands of Floridians were disenfranchised, and they were a conservative court, a lot of them appointed by George H.W. Bush, and then he gets 8 years. I don't know how many Supreme Court picks, I think 3, and Obama gets in, and Obama has a mandate. He has the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And they could have done something about the Supreme Court then, but the Democrats don't. And it's important that there's one party that truly is the party of law and order. And it's not the crime spree, morally bankrupt, Bible thumping Republicans. They're all deluded, brainwashed hypocrites. The law and order party is the Democratic Party, and it is the party of honor. And they've got to start getting aggressive. The fact that Merrick Garland sat on the Trump stuff for as long as he did is just the perfect example of Democratic Party lackadaisical bullshit. And if Biden wins, they have got to go guns blazing and impeach Alito immediately, impeach Clarence Thomas. I think you go ahead and just impeach the handmaid for lying. And I think you go ahead and impeach the beer drinker for being a dick.
Right.
And then get serious. Let's get rid of the Electoral College, because Trump has exposed so many flaws. Bush gave us a glimpse, but the Democrats did nothing, and they had 8 years to do something. Bush showed us that the Electoral College system was flawed, George W. Bush, and that the Supreme Court was flawed. And then Obama got in after that. We didn't do jack shit. And then we get Trump, and look at how much worse it is. So the guardrails have got to be actively put up. And this nonsense that conservatives have, that we have this perfect union, is insane. When you, as evolution goes and societies learn more and more, you make changes and you modify. You know, they used to think lobotomies treated mental illness. Now we know that's fucking crazy. I would say we used to think the Electoral College made perfect sense. Now I would say I think that's fucking crazy. And I'm not alone in that. We're the laughingstock of the world with this Electoral College system. And the Supreme Court, no guardrails, lifetime appointments. The Democrats have got to get serious, because they're never going to change it, because the only way they govern is by these loopholes.
That's right.
And so these are very serious issues that I firmly believe only the Democratic Party cares and can attack if they will grow a pair. Because the real pussies in the government are obviously these people that cannot stomach hearing facts on the record. But I want to highlight Jasmine Crockett before we go out for calling out Marjorie Taylor Greene. And Jasmine Crockett was on our podcast. Y'all can go in our YouTube videos and see it or hear that. She's phenomenal. She really has speaks truth to power. She does. And she's amazing. And I love her just browbeating Marjorie Taylor Greene. I hate to even give Marjorie Taylor Greene that much airtime.
I agree.
Because she's so unhinged, clearly mentally ill. And I mean that not in a judgmental way. I mean, there's clearly some personality disorder. There's clearly something wrong with her. But there's clearly something wrong with the Republican Party that they voted in a guy who claims he has personal conversations with God and believes that T-Rexes lived on an ark. So when we have a major, major right-wing Christian problem in this country. And here's the situation that I want to say about that. I don't have any problem with somebody being religious, but your religion has to be separate from government.
That's right.
And when you start using your religion to infiltrate government, then your religion needs to be taxed, shut down. It needs to be separate and reciprocally separate.
That's right.
Government can stay out of yours, but you've got to stay the fuck out of government.
And that's how it was intended.
Well, now all these fuckers are in government.
And they're on the Supreme Court.
The craziest of the crazy on the Supreme Court. All right, that's all. Stick with us for more hot takes.
It's so